Here we begin the GC8 Type RA Part 4. So I've got my trunk all ready to prime, and I'm about to get to it. So I had replaced the trunk spare tire well. Other than that, it's just some cleaning, like a little bit of surface rust in there. You can see maybe those bare spots there. And then there was some up here from the seam sealer cracking over the years. So there was some stuff to clean up in there. You can see it's all been rust converted, sanded over, and then now we're going to seal it up. There's the back, all epoxy primer sealed. Looking good. So I got in on the bare metal from where the seam sealer had cracked. So, you know, next would be fresh seam sealer on these seams. And then I would prime over it again. This was all cracked, so I'm going to actually delete this. Figure it'll kind of make it look a little more modern, not having some big RC car antenna on there. There's the plate in, and now I'm about to weld. Today I'm gonna get into cleaning up this rear. So I got some stuff to sand and a little bit of seam sealing to do. It's not too bad as far as rust, other than like little stone chip type guys. Alright, we're back at the end of the day. So I've got these arches all cleaned up. They didn't have rust, it's just the paint was coming off and there was like surface rust where it had been peeling. Now I've got everything else seam sealed. I even banged my fender lip back up, so I had pulled it down to clean everything out of there and sandblast it and stuff. And then because I'm probably going to use some aggressive tire fitment, I've got it pushed back up, and then I even filled the lip with urethane so it doesn't collect road debris and sit in there. All that's all seam sealed. This is all sanded now again. So in the next shot, I'm going to be priming the quarter panel, the whole back of the car, and then even the trunk and the wheel wells. Hey, got the battery tray mounted. Alright, now I've got the whole bay and front wheel wells all sanded down again. The car for the most part is taped off, ready to prime, which I'm going to do in the morning. The windshield I broke, so it's fine if it gets primer on it. Here we are the next day. We're working on now the pillars. So we've gone through, sand down all the, you know, stone chip spots. These red patches are dents. I've done both sides, so I could probably put my first coat of primer there, but I'm gonna wait, do the whole roof and pillars. So I got a heavy stone chip rust spot there. And then getting into the roof, not sure how well the camera sees that, but you can see that line. That from there to there is a crease. Here we are at the end of day one on the roof. So I've got it all knocked down, and this ridge is filled in, and then I've gone around to other dent spots and circled them so I don't lose track, because I mean you can't see them with your eye, so I mean you only really get to feel them, so it's pretty easy to lose track when you have a lot of them. But there's not too many very severe dents on this. I've maybe got half a dozen to work with now. So this is day 4 on the roof. You can see I'm getting somewhere. So the valley is gone. So I learned some things about dents. Where it had dented in the center, that was one issue and what I began to focus on. But I guess when it dents that severe, it actually pushes up the edges of the valley. So I had to hammer the edges back down after I filled this and realized that it goes up, flat, up, down. So that was a bit of a learning curve. All right, here we are. I think I spent a good 4 days or so on the roof skin and pillars. I ended up finding a few more small dents in the quarter panels, so I filled those, and now I've got it all in the epoxy primer. So next step, I'm going to run the urethane seam sealer through the original seam sealer. Hard to tell because the way the primer laid, like, you know, stripey and whatnot, obviously it still needs to be scuffed down for paint. But I am definitely happy with the shape of the roof skin. It is, you know, nearly perfect, if not perfect. So we are into the rocker now. So this is from Subi Savers. So I've lined it up on the car. This is how far my original rocker was cut off. It's a straight rip all the way across, so I'm going to use a nice bar to get that correct. And there it is, cut off. I'm going to try and get it cut right so I can butt weld it. And then I'm going to bring the pinch weld down and around and actually weld it on the back. It's kind of just the way I like to do them. It keeps the front clean. Here we have the outer rocker covers, so they're all cut now to fit. So next, this is the inside of them. I'm going to spray it with a weld through galvanized primer, which is great to combat rust. Alright, I've got the whole upper seam done. Now what I'm gonna do, let me just try and get, there we go. So you can see the weld in the back. The car and the rocker was sprayed with the weld through primer, but I still want to get something on the back of that weld. So I'll show you what I've done here. So the zinc weld through primer, the tip on it is from a rust check can, and then it is able to accept that, and then there's that. So now I can spray all in there and it's gonna be sweet. All right, now we're into the inner pinch weld. So what I'm doing is I've got a big old custom jack set up, so that helps me push my rocker up to the bottom of my pinch weld. Then I fold it over and then I weld it across. All right, everything is all welded. Now we are into grinding the welds down. So you can see with a nice weld, it's easy to get a nice grind. So I've got a long way to go. Alright, we're back a day later. I've got all the welds ground down. So looking pretty good. The underside of the car is somewhat scuffed up. What I'm going to do is get some epoxy prime on here. And then on the rockers as well. And then I'll begin my body filling. We've got the first stage of the skirt fitted. We got the side clip holes in. We are clipped. Now it might be hard to make out, but like this is a totally perfect fit. Super sweet. So skirt's gold. This little gasket is gold. You can get these gaskets in any color, so I might get a black one or a red one. Even right down to my front clip hole there lines up. And these skirts are not from a GC8, so they are custom fit. They are from a Subaru. So my finale here, as you can see, I got a little mini gap. So underneath I still got to attach them, which then will close up my gap there. All right, I think we're 2 days later. The skirts are all drilled to fit. I added in these holes, and then I'll show you the brackets on the car. This red line I'm going to cut all the way along the length of the skirt so it sits where I want it. So there is the little bracket that's going to hold the skirt on the bottom. So I did one at the front, back, and middle, and it fits very nice. All right, there's my rip, done ripped. There's my skirt. Now I'll give you a demo of fitment. I'm still not done. I still have some finishing touches to do on the skirt, like cut the back to length. There's basic attachment, and then that's my last little bit to overcome. Oh, clip. Nice tight fit. Underneath. Some nice air room. Middle clip. I'll do some trim in there because I don't really want it rubbing on the paint. Now all painted. My next step here is to get the tape off any of the harness I left in the car, along with any masking and whatnot, but turned out really nice, really happy. I mean, this is something that's gonna get completely covered with carpet and interior panels, but makes me feel good. Alright, here we are under the car, and we've got this painted, and holy, it looks sweet. So I made it up to the firewall. That will be another approach. I had to get a different type of paint gun to do this, one with the tank on the bottom so that I could like spray upwards. It was horrible to do. I would probably never do this on a hoist again, but it did turn out sweet. So since then, I've moved my hoist feet so that I can get the spots where they were originally sitting. These I will get when I do the engine bay. And along from that, I have been going around and black oxidized coating the hardware, and or I have been using a method of heating the bolt and dunking it in oil. It just kind of depends what the bolt is for as to which direction I will go with the restoration on them, but they do look pretty sweet. So obviously these are all sandblasted first, and then they are treated after. Yeah, this was definitely a challenge to paint all under here. So I mean, there's the wheel wells. So I still have the front wheel wells to do. They're a lot easier than trying to get paint into these ones. And that's where we're at. So putting together some stuff in the interior now, and then I'll be moving on to getting the engine bay done. Got a few pieces for inside the car cleaned up. So these are just some random odds and ends. A little bit of a gas tank restoration here. So all these, it's dusty now, but they've all been sandblasted and repainted. And I got all my new seals there. Look at that gas tank, holy moly. We've got all the venting pipes and fuel pipes and some new fuel injection fuel line. So this will be the end of this video. From here I can get into assembling the subframes. I got my first batch back from powder coating. I've still got to tear down the front and rear. We'll be replacing all the bushings on these with poly ones. I can get the interior in, all sorts of exciting stuff now. I can put all my wire harness back in the bay, which is also exciting. So this next bit is really gonna move the car along now that I can start to reassemble stuff. If you enjoyed this and you haven't already, please subscribe. And yeah, looking forward to posting another one.